So this comes in Ishana Pranada Prano Jeshta Shreshta Prajapatihi Hiranyagarbho Bhurgarbho Madhavo Madhusuudhanah. Maadhava, or one who is fit to be known through the Madhu Vidya. Maadhava or Ma and Dhava means husband of Mahalakshmi, or one who is fit to be known through the Madhu Vidya, or Maunad Dhyanat Cha Yogas Cha Vidhi Bharata Madhavam. O Bharata, know Madhava through the Mauna, or the silence, or the Dhyana, meditation, and Yoga, which is self-upliftment. Madhusuudhanah, or the destroyer of the demon Madhu. Historically or mythologically, there are two children of Vishnu himself. Madhu happens to be one. I missed the name of the other, and maybe you can chime in if anyone knows as we come to the conclusion. And it is said that Madhu and the brother go and take away the body of knowledge that was given to humanity in its purpose of living and its purpose of destiny, which was what we had discussed in our earlier conversation about the 1000th chapter that Brahma gives, and editing has happened, and how a king comes into place when we learnt about Prajapati, and how the role of the king is very beautifully articulated as the dharma of the king, the Raja Dharma as it's known, or the dharma of a political leader, is so big in vast in its capacity, in its impact, that very sweetly they paint a picture that says it's like the footprint of an elephant in which all footprint will fit in, which means a Raja Dharma, or a political leader executing his job well, will not only in that execution or in that political leadership, every other dharma will find its umbrage or its protection. And it's very sweetly painted as the picture of a footprint of an elephant in which the footprint of all animals will fit in. So, and how Vishnu himself introduces us the king, Prithu, and all that we learned. Now here, the body of knowledge and the societal execution is what is captured, it is said in the Vedas. And the Madhu and his brother, who come out of Vishnu himself, as it's narrated in the mythology, take away that body of knowledge and they hide it while teasing Brahma, who's now taking care of editing it and making sure it fits of time. And this narrative of Madhusuudhanah is someone who vanquishes that demons, or maybe whatever energies that takes away the body of knowledge from the human society that it was supposed to nourish and take forward. Next one is Isvarah, or one who is the all-powerful ruler of this world. He is the supreme God. Vishnu is this Isvara. When Brahman, not Brahma, Brahman, Vishnu, gets into his illusory upadhi, he becomes the all-powerful Isvara. Maya gives Brahman three powers, or the Shaktis: Gnana Shakthi, Ichha Shakthi, and Kriya Shakthi. When Brahman becomes Ishvara by virtue of his getting into his illusory upadhi, he gains the capacity to create, sustain, and dissolve this world. Illusion is the power of Brahman. The three powers, Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Gnana Shakti, together constitute his omnipotence. So, Ishvara Vikrami Dhanvi Medhavi Vikrama Kramaha. So that was the 9th one in which we got this Ishvara. But essentially, if you reflect on this a little more in terms of the Gnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, I think Chetan also spoke about in our earlier conversation that to be successful, we talked of 3 C's, which is clarity in thought, confidence or in the purpose with which you're taken up a work, and your ability to communicate, in other words, your ability to influence and motivate others towards that goal as well, right? So Now, these three Shaktis, where we talk of, maybe I'll go a little English translation to the Gnana Shakti, which is power of knowledge. You need to be aware as to how to go about doing something. If without awareness, you'll only flounder, not knowing what you're doing. Then you have the Ichha Shakti, which is where the willpower comes, right? The ability to overcome any of the obstacles that you find. Obstacles could be inside, like you don't know how to do it, but you'll go acquire the knowledge. You'll seek help from people who know it better, where you find a handyman or you go do a YouTube, anything that you would do. So you go and acquire that ability and overcome those obstacles, and that is where willpower comes in. And then is the Kriya Shakti, which is the action where you have the mobility of your own self, mobilizing the rest of the folks who need to come and help you and take you towards that goal or towards that success. So through these three Shaktis of knowledge, of willpower, and the ability to mobilize, pretty much in lines with the three C's Chetan had spoken, you derive the ability to succeed, or these Shaktis drive the ability to succeed as well. So once you succeed, what happens? We'll learn a little more as well. Why should I even succeed, right? So once you have that sense of success, it also delves into you, right? We have always spoken about yoga, which is something that happens outside, creates a long lasting impact inside us. That happens in humanity, or in most of humans do it. A machine will also do something, but nothing happens as a character into that human, into a machine personality, but it does happen to a human personality. So that yoga happens, but what happens when you gain success? Majority of the time, you feel a sense of power. And with that power also comes a degree of dominance, right? You feel you own the place. You feel that you have done something mega successful, and those around, we have a tendency to dominate. So the power, when it is bestowed on us, maybe it's political power too. You could imagine, maybe in our history, I was looking or seeing a movie called Nuremberg Judgment, or Judgment of Nuremberg. It's on Prime, and absolutely enjoyable, very provoking movie where the judges of Germany are put to trial. Imagine, those who gave judgments are also put to trial of wrong humanity judgments that were made. A very interesting movie, but overall the power resided in one location. And when such power comes, you see how dominance and mishandled power becomes. There's a good story in terms of a stately behavior. It comes within the same place. So again, Vishnu Sahasranama is introduced to us within the Mahabharata epic. And in that epic also is this other story. I'll just quickly narrate that, which in context of this handling of power, right? You have control to the internet at home. You and all of us can remove that internet connection and make our kids behave in a certain way if they were overindulging. So that's one way you could visualize that the power that we have in our own kingdom, but same way could be a political leader or a king might have had in the earlier times, and the political leader as a democratic leader in our times. And we have seen in our own, perhaps, history books and maybe movies as to how power, when it resides, was mishandled in some of the geographies of the world or political boundaries of the world. So this dog story is essentially told by Bhishma to Yudhishthira in the same Anushasana Parva as to how do you politically handle your kingdom. And he talks about, you, as a king, you can't do on your own. You need ministers, just like we need our team members to mobilize our project. So he talks of a story in which a dog has come and resided in the ashrama, or the hermitage of a sage. And it has started living off the same fruits that the hermit is consuming. And it leads a very saintly life. The dog leads a very saintly life. It comes and attends each of the pravachanas or the lectures that the hermitages or the hermit there or the sage there is giving, and it has developed a sense of loyalty. At one time, a leopard comes in. Leopard's favorite food happens to be dogs. They somehow attack dogs more than anything else. And this dog comes and takes refuge in the sage and says, I am attacked by the sage. Can you please protect me? So the sage says, I can't be there for you every time something comes. How about I do this? And using his powers, he promotes he promotes the dog also to become a leopard. So that means he's now in equal power, and that leopard which has come to consume it suddenly sees that, oh my God, this is something with equal power, and it disappears. A few more weeks later, a lion shows up and it tries to consume. Again, it goes and takes refuge in the sage, and the sage again promotes it from a cheetah or a leopard into the lion. And same thing happens. Then a Rishabha comes. Rishabha of those days, description, maybe a mythical animal, maybe it really existed, was an animal that has 2 heads and 8 legs. So Rishabha comes, and that lion too is afraid, and it again takes refuge, and Rishabha is created. And at that point in time, this little dog that has gone all the way into a most powerful of that era, the Rishabha, comes to its mind. All these powers were given to me by this hermit or the sage. And the most powerful fellow is that. Maybe I should vanquish him and I'll remain the most powerful after vanquishing him. So it tries to go kill that, at which time the sage who is in meditation recognizes it, opens his eyes, and just uses his water from his kamandala and converts it back into a dog. But one is, through the story, what we need to recognize or see one from the eye of the sage who had more power, and he knew how to promote its loyal follower, as well as fire or demote that person when things went wrong. But other also is also looking through the eyes of the dog itself. What we saw was, yes, power got bestowed, and with power came the arrogance, which is might is right, is what we have seen in English. And with that might is right or the arrogance comes in a very bigger power or a political power is the atrocities that are committed on humanity itself, right? We need to perhaps also look from the little fort of our homes too, as we're going to do such harmful things. So it's through this discrimination is where you can handle the mishandled power, and this discrimination comes only through this buddhi. And the way to manage this power is by aligning the capacity of this power to this thing called the Atman, right? So Atman is where you have, it's an eternal truth where it holds. So, but we also learned from our earlier conversation about how in the Upanishads, a beautiful narrative is given, a simile or the comparison of Atmanam Rathinam Viddhi Manah Pragrahamevacha. So essentially the 5 horses were compared to the senses, and those were controlled through the reins of Manas, and that Manas was controlled by the Buddhi, or the one who is the charioteer or the Sarathi, and from there behind was the Atman through which you need to do. So the Atman is sitting very close and is helping Buddhi, saying, hey, look back, just turn around, I'm right there, and we will do only good things that's going to benefit humanity. Your power is going to be so well managed that you're going to create a good legacy for humanity rather than just for yourself. That's what it's saying. There's a good shloka in Bhagavad Gita too. I'll try my attempt to read this. It essentially talks about the gradation of power. Indriyani paranyahu, indriyebhya param manaha. So indriyani meaning sense objects, whatever you feel. If you close your eyes, you obviously can't see anything. You close your ears, you can't hear anything. But what you see is making attraction inside you, right? You go to a super bazaar, Walmart or whatever, but many things there attract you. So there is a power in those objects that attracts you. And that is the sense objects, but more powerful than sense objects, or the senses within you, is what it says. But higher than the senses is the mana, or that whole rain that we talked about. And higher in power than the manas is the buddhi. And more powerful than the buddhi is sah. And they use the word sah, is this or that, as they put it. So the gradation is more based on the subtlety, which means those things that you see have certain power, the gross things, but things that are more subtle have higher power, is what the sloka concludes. And I think it may be the last of the slokas in which chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, if any one of you are more curious to read there.